struggling is pointless. The rope binding you to that chair is enchanted. It has no ends, no knot, and it can't be ripped apart by even the queen herself. It only comes off when I say. So, let's talk. I want answers. Namely, who are you and what was your mission? I know you were sent by the Black Eagles. Just because you snuck up through neutral lands before crossing into our territory doesn't mean I can't tell a scouting party when I see one. Dragging this out won't save you. Either you answer my questions willingly, or you'll be forced. I assume you're referring to the Shadow Fae you snuck in with. If she told you her name would make any difference here, she lied to you. It certainly doesn't mean anything to me. And even if I did know her, it wouldn't excuse slinking over the border while using shadow magic, of all things. Most people wouldn't be able to see through it. Luckily, I'm not most knights. The Dragon Queen herself blessed my lance to see through all forms of deception, including stealth magic. From my patrol in the sky, the two of you were practically glowing. So maybe now you're willing to answer a little more honestly. Who are you? That isn't glowing as a lie. But if you are half dragon, half vampire, where did you come from? We certainly don't have any like you among the Queen's ranks. I've never heard of a seraphim transforming someone into a dragon, let alone a half-dragon. And we would never turn someone into a vampire. That is a cruel and violent fate, both for the individual and for all the people around them. I imagine it was your contacts in the Black Eagles who blamed it on us. Ridiculous. The kinds of lies they'll spew, all in the name of that fantasy. A world where everyone lives in harmony is a wonderful dream, but that's all it is. You should know that even more than I do. Vampires have to feed on living beings. Werewolves lose their sense of self and autonomy every full moon. If we were just talking about elves living peacefully beside humans, it would be different. But some creatures pose too great a threat to others. The separation is as much for their sake as it is for humans. It creates safe spaces for those who lose their control. Are you asking why I think the Black Eagles are rebelling? Because it's not a matter of miscommunication. I know they think the social hierarchies between natural-born creatures and turned creatures are the Dragon Queen's fault. But they're wrong. The Dragon Queen only wants to create communities where we can all feel safe. It's the natural-born vampires who oppress turned vampires, not the Queen or her laws. As one of her knights, I have never been asked to enforce such classism. My duty is to rescue magical beings living in human societies and bring them to a new home where they can finally feel like a part of the community. I'm saving people from abuse, not promoting it. Do you know what will happen if the Black Eagles have their so-called free world? Humans will live in paranoia, always wondering if their new neighbors are secretly monsters. Magical beings who blend in among the humans will always have to watch their backs, constantly afraid of being attacked over paranoid suspicions. Riots will break out, innocents accused of wrongdoing, the law-abiding vampires starving in the streets for lack of willing donors, all while their more violent kin happily hunt the neighbors, content to let the blame fall on the innocents. Intolerance will not die just because the Black Eagles destroy our communities and force proximity. Instead, the people who would have been escorted away by the Royal Knights will now be slaughtered by angry mobs. You are fixing nothing. What do you mean you're not a part of that? Any action you take in service of the Eagles, you really aren't with them. But then why sneak over our lines? And you're convinced we might know something of your origins. I don't know this Shamir. Did she say who in the Blue Lions she was hoping to find? Well, there are several women here. It isn't much to go on. What about where you came from? You said you don't remember much, but you must remember something. Maybe I'll recognize a part of your story. A man with long orange hair? It couldn't be Gilbert, could it? I don't recall him going on any missions to the east, and he certainly didn't mention a dungeon of vampires. Plus, why wouldn't he bring you back with him? Separated. It still doesn't make sense. Do you remember anything else about your savior? That can't be Gilbert. Gilbert's not a vampire. He's a seraphim, like his daughter and the others here at the garrison. Whoever saved you, they aren't here. But you said you ran to a forest. It can't have been far from the castle you escaped then. Do you know where it was? There are many villages besides the forests in the east. I'll need details, a name of the village, or even the kinds of people living there. Was it a human village? A mixed marketplace? That's uncommon. It must have been a bigger village then. Something central, maybe? Did you speak to anyone? She hypnotized you? Why? What did she learn? Charon. But that can't be. No, something isn't right. You need to speak with our captain as soon as she's finished interrogating your companion. This is...
Ingrid? Sorry to interrupt, but Catherine says we need to let them go. Apparently, she knows the Shadow Fae woman you brought in, and she wants us to treat them both to breakfast to apologize. Mercy's already putting muffins in the oven.
I see. Well, you heard her. You're free to go. I guess I should bring you to the kitchen. You'll need your strength before you speak with Captain Catherine.